They had 18 hours to run. Most of them didn't. This is the story of the last day of Pompeii. Not the version you've heard before. Not the safe, distant history. To watch the sky turn black at noon. This is what it felt like to be inside. To choke on air that was 700 degrees. To watch your city disappear under a river of stone. And to die without even understanding what killed them. 18 hours, that's all they had left. October, autumn in Pompeii. For 20,000 people, it was just another morning. The bakeries fired up before sunrise. 80 bakeries in a city of 20,000. Wine poured in the taverns. Over 150 bars and restaurants for 20,000 people. Water ran through lead pipes into fountains on every corner. A surgeon sharpened his bronze tools in a back room. A pregnant teenager prayed at a shrine to Isis. They liked to eat out. A butcher hacking apart a pig carcass in a side alley. Blood on the cobblestones. The streets were already loud. Ruts worn into the stone by 10,000 carts, rich and poor, free and slave, all sharing the same walls. A merchant's wife adjusting her gold bracelet in a polished bronze mirror. Next door, a slave scrubbing the floor on his knees, children throwing dice in a doorway, betting stolen coins, a gladiator scratching his name into a wall near the arena. On the walls, messages from the living. Lucius loves Primogenia, scratched into plaster with a nail. Samius to Cornelius, go hang yourself. Here I had sex, it was good. Over 11,000 graffiti inscriptions found so far. These weren't historians. These were people who ate, fought, loved and lied, just like us. Gladiator fights were scheduled for next week. 2 boys wrestling in the palestra while their tutor shouted instructions. An aqueduct carried water from the mountains. Cold, clean water for a city built on volcanic rock. A fisherman mending his nets at the marina gate. He'd go out at dawn tomorrow. A woman painting a fresco of Aphrodite in a bedroom. Wet pigment on wet plaster. In the amphitheater, 20,000 seats, the biggest in Campania. Last time it was full, there was a riot. Pompeii against Nuceria, banned from games for 10 years. A girl was playing with her dog outside the city walls. A boy learning math on a wax tablet in his father's shop. An old man repaired a mosaic in his atrium. He'd been working on it for weeks. He would never finish it. A slave set the table for a dinner party, fresh fish from the morning catch, dormice in honey, flamingo tongues. A menu for a party that would never be eaten. Fullers stomping on cloth in vats of urine and clay. The smell unimaginable. A prostitute leaning in her doorway at the lupanar, calling to passing soldiers. But one thing nobody talked about. They didn't have a word for volcano. The Greek word volcanos meant god of fire. Not a mountain. To them, it was Mons Vesuvius. A good mountain, fertile soil, great wine. The best wine in Campania came from its slopes. 17 years earlier, an earthquake had shaken everything. Columns cracked, temples fell, people died. They rebuilt. They always rebuilt. The earthquake was the warning, but nobody knew what it meant. By October of 79, Pompeii was thriving again. New money, new buildings, an election coming up, candidates' names painted on every wall. The mountain had been quiet for 800 years. Nobody alive had ever seen it erupt. Small tremors in the weeks before, the ground shaking at night, springs went dry, animals acted strange. Nobody connected the signs. Nobody saw it coming. Around 1 in the afternoon, a sound, not thunder, deeper, coming from inside the earth. Like the earth cracking open, Vesuvius exploded. The blast was heard in Egypt,
A column of superheated gas and rock, 33 kilometers high. Higher than any plane flies today. A tower of fire reaching the stratosphere, 1.5 million tons per second, ejected straight up, 100,000 Hiroshima bombs in 24 hours. A priest at the Temple of Jupiter told the crowd it was divine punishment. The merchant tried to board up his shop, protect his stock, his investment. Some people ran to the temples to pray. Others ran to the harbor for boats. He sat in his chair and waited. A slave grabbed his master's money box and ran. For the first time in his life, free. In Pompeii, confusion. Then terror. Then the sky went dark. A cart overturned in the Stabian gate, bodies climbing over it, over each other. The sun vanished in the middle of the day. Pumice stones began to rain, small at first, like hail, white pumice. Light enough to float on water, hard enough to kill. People covered their heads with pillows,
cushions, pots. Someone set fire to a gate to clear the blockage. It only added smoke to the darkness. The children screamed. They couldn't understand. A mother wrapping cloth around her children's heads for protection. By 3 o'clock, pumice, half a meter deep in the streets. By 5, darkness deeper than any night. Roofs started collapsing under the weight of the pumice. Lightning cracked inside the eruption cloud. Volcanic lightning, static charge from the friction of a billion rocks. The flat roofs went first, then the tiled ones, one by one. Each collapse. This was the first choice, stay or run. A horse broke free from its stable and bolted through the pumice. Its hooves slipped on the stepping stones. It went down. Legs kicking. It couldn't get up. Animals died first. Dogs on chains, birds in cages, livestock in pens. Running meant crossing open ground under a rain of stone. A man hit in the head by a pumice rock. He went down. His wife turns back. She kneels in the pumice. She screams his name. She can't carry him. She can't leave him. She stays. Those who left in the first 2 hours survived. Most people stayed. They thought it would stop. Earthquakes always stopped. Storms always passed. But this wasn't a storm. By midnight, the pumice was 3 meters deep. Ground floors gone. Doors buried. The city was drowning in stone. Across the bay, a teenager was watching. Pliny the Younger, 18 years old, taking notes. His uncle, Pliny the Elder, commander of the Roman fleet, sailed toward it. Not to escape, to rescue. He landed at Stabii. The coast was chaos, people begging to be taken aboard. A mother lifts her baby toward the ship. The sea was too rough to launch. They were trapped too. The night was endless. Total darkness. The kind you feel on your skin. People screamed for family members they couldn't see. A man wandered the streets calling his daughter's name. She was already dead under a collapsed roof. Some prayed to the gods. Some cursed them. A dog howled somewhere in the dark. The last sound some people heard. Some just held their children and waited for it to end. The sounds were the worst. Walls cracking, timber beams groaning. A boy of 12 dragged his grandmother through the pumice toward the Nola gate. She told him to leave her. He screamed back that he wouldn't. They found them together, near the gate, almost there. 2 lovers died in a bed in the Fulanica of Stephanus, arms around each other. In the forum baths, dozens huddled in the changing room. They thought the stone walls would protect them. The walls were strong, the earth shaking without stopping. For hours. In the cellar of a villa, a slave was still chained to the wall. His owners had fled. They didn't unlock him.
A priest at the temple of Isis, he packed them in a cloth. The pumice reached his chest. He couldn't breathe. He died standing up. Arms still chained above his head, found exactly like that, 2,000 years later. Outside, as the pumice rose, it climbed higher until the chain ran out. The cast shows it twisted on its back, still wearing its collar. In a wealthy house, a man was filling a bag with gold coins, a fortune, enough to buy a villa. He chose treasure over risk. He made it to the street. Then a wall fell. Found with a bag of gold still in his hand, a pregnant woman tried to cross the city. She collapsed near the forum. A family huddled in their garden under the open sky. They chose the garden because the roof might collapse. The sky was safer. 13 people died in one room of the Villa of Mysteries. A group of gladiators died in their barracks, still locked in. Their leg shackles were still locked.
Even in the apocalypse. A baby cried in one of the boathouses, the only sound besides the mountain. A 7-year-old girl clutched a wooden doll. A man still had his tools, a carpenter. He had brought what mattered most to him, 300 people, packed into 12 stone arches, waiting. Meanwhile, Herculaneum, 5 kilometers closer to the mountain, a smaller town, wealthier, marble where Pompeii had limestone. But not everyone could leave. At the boathouses by the harbour, 300 people waited. They'd come to the shore hoping for boats. The boats never came. A woman in her 20s. Jewelry still on, rings on every finger. A soldier in full armour, his sword still sheathed. Around 1 in the morning, the first pyroclastic surge. Not lava, something worse. A cloud of gas at 700 degrees. It hit Herculaneum in under 3 minutes. The boathouses.
300 people. The surge crossed the beach in a fraction of a second. Death was instant. Their skulls cracked from the pressure of their own boiling brain fluid. Red and black residue on every bone, boiled blood, cooked marrow. The surge reached the shore in 4 seconds. The sound arrived after the death. 300 bodies hit the ground at the same instant. The heat was so intense, it carbonized wood 50 meters from the surge front. In 2020, scientists found something that shouldn't exist. A victim's brain. Turned to glass by the heat. Actual neurons preserved. Vitrification. So hot, so fast. The brain fused into glass before it could decay. Glass made from a human brain by a volcano back in Pompeii. The surges kept coming, each one closer. Pompeii's walls stopped the first 3 surges. Barely. The people inside didn't know how close it came. Not days, minutes. Around 6:30 in the morning, the 4th surge.
So she wouldn't see. This one was different. Bigger, faster, And it didn't stop at the walls. It cleared the walls at 300 kilometers per hour, 300 degrees, the temperature of a cremation oven. A beggar who'd slept in a doorway was found still wrapped in his cloak. The first breath killed them. Superheated air entered their lungs, destroyed them from inside. Some people were dead before they hit the ground. Those inside died in their hiding places. A man was praying in a garden shrine when the surge found him. A group of strangers had barricaded a door with furniture. The surge knocked down columns that had stood for 200 years. The surge didn't break doors, it dissolved them. A woman ran into the street, already on fire. The air itself burned. You could feel the heat through stone walls. The surge entered homes through every crack, under doors, through shutters,
Through gaps in the stone, it found them everywhere. In the temples where they prayed, in the cellars where they hid, in the beds where they thought they were safe. Their muscles contracted from the heat, arms drawn up, fists clenched. The pugilistic pose, a medical term, heat makes muscles shrink and contract. One man died mid-stride, running for the city gate. Found 2,000 years later, still reaching for the exit. A mother wrapped herself around her daughter, shielding with her body. They found them like that, still holding on. In the house of the golden bracelet, 4 people died together. For decades, we called them a family. Father, mother, 2 children. In 2024, DNA told a different story. The mother was a man. No biological relation between any of the 4. Strangers who found each other in the dark and held each other as the world ended. The truth was more human than the story we invented. 2 brothers died back to back,
facing opposite directions,
covering each other, a baby still in its mother's arms, ever made. An entire family, 7 people, died in a stairwell trying to reach the roof. The last survivor in Pompeii was probably someone in a deep cellar. Then the air ran out, or the heat crept in, and it was over. On the beach at Stabii, Pliny the Elder collapsed. The sulfur choked him. The man who sailed toward fire, he was 56 years old. Across the bay, his nephew watched the sky burn and wrote it all down. The ground shook so violently, he thought the world was ending. 25 years later, he wrote the letters to the historian Tacitus, the only eyewitness account that survives. The 5th surge hit at 7 in the morning, the 6th at 8, each one larger. Pompeii was gone, 6 meters under, sealing everything inside. 16,000 people died in 24 hours. The city disappeared from maps, from memory, from history. For 1,700 years, nobody knew it was there. In 1748, workers digging a canal hit a wall. They had no idea what was beneath their feet, an entire city, under their farms, under their homes. Perfectly preserved, the ash had sealed it like a time capsule. In 1863, Giuseppe Fiorelli had an idea. The bodies had decomposed. In one room, they found a table still set for lunch. Plates, cups, bread, no people. He filled those spaces with plaster, and people came back. Faces frozen in their last expression. A child reaching for its parent. A couple in their final embrace. A man crawling toward the door, his fingers clawing at the ground. He almost made it. Modern Pompeii has a gift shop.
You can buy a refrigerator magnet of the eruption. 2 friends, lying side by side, facing each other. In 2024, DNA changed everything we thought we knew about these people. Were actually 2 men, relationships we assumed for decades wrong. When the casts first came out of the ground, workers wept. These weren't statues. You could see fingernails, ear shapes, the folds of clothing, eating ice cream laughing. Some casts had expressions of peace. They died in their sleep. Others had expressions of pure animal terror. Mouths torn open is not what we thought it was. It's what they left behind. In 2024, archaeologists found a blue room with gold leaf walls. 2,000 years old. Colors still vivid. We're still finding them. Every year, new rooms, new bodies, new stories. Only a third of Pompeii has been excavated. 2/3 is still buried.
Under the modern streets of Pompeii,
There are Roman houses nobody has ever seen. What else is down there? Who else? The same vineyards still grow on the slopes of Vesuvius. The wine is still good. 3 million people live within its kill zone. It last erupted in 1944. 82 years ago, Naples grew around the volcano like a vine around a pillar. Today, the streets of Naples smell like coffee and exhaust, not sulfur. But seismographs at the observatory record tremors every week. Every year, tourists ask the guides the same question: could it happen again? The last major eruption was 1944. American B-25 bombers were buried in ash on a nearby airfield. Before that, 1631, 3,000 dead. Before that, 1506, a blink in the life of a volcano. Geologists say it's not a question of if, it's when. The evacuation plan covers 700,000 people. It requires 72 hours of warning.
the guides always give the same answer. It could happen tomorrow. In 79 AD, they had 18 hours. Most of them didn't run. We have better science now, better warnings, better plans. But we have the same human nature. We tell ourselves we'd run, that we'd be smart, that we'd be different. The people of Pompeii thought that too. We do.